Archaeology of Weapons and Warfare in North America. So the history of weapons have came from people using these weapons in warfare, hunting, self-defense, law enforcement, and criminal activity. And weapons also serve many other purposes in society, including sports, collections for displays, historical displays, and demonstrations. And in my video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how technology has developed throughout history and weapons have changed with that. So the very first site I'm going to talk about is Cactus Hill, and this is found in Virginia. It's one of the oldest archaeological sites in North America, and this is during the Paleo-Indian period, and this is the projectile point or knife forms. As you can see in that picture above, they kind of show different kinds that they have, and similar stone weapons that were discovered in the 1930s were near the town of Clovis, New Mexico, and these sites have dated back to 10,000 to 11,000 years ago, and archaeologists have found blade-type stone tools that appear to have been used for butchering meat and processing hides. So my next site I'm going to talk about is the Clovis Point, and these were made early in the Paleo-Indian period, and they were originally founded in the 1930s near Clovis, New Mexico, which these Clovis people were mostly hunter-gatherers, meaning they also hunted larger animals, including mammoths, bisons, sloths, horses, and just many other animals for food. And these Clovis people were more associated with a more spear-shaped weapon made of stone, and the short, wide groove or flute, as you're seeing in that image, that extends a short way up to the point from the base. So my next site I'm going to talk about is the Folsom, and the Folsom points were made later after the Clovis point, and they were found mostly in the central and western parts of the continent, with the association with the bones of a bison, and the flute extends almost the full length of the point. Now, if you're looking at the image, it looks a little more different than the Clovis points because they're more adapting to what they want and what they need. And some archaeologists consider Folsom points in particular to be among the finest stone tools ever made. And now we're moving into the atlo, which is the more known as a spear thrower, and introduced to early Americans in North America by the first European contact. So as you can see in the images, it's more of like they're kind of now throwing their weapons and more adapting to if I'm far away or if I need to get this animal or a person if they're at war, they want to have these weapons that are more projectile now. And with the atlo, they have it's a long range weapon that can get up to speeds of 93 miles per hour. And this tool uses leverage to achieve greater velocity in dart or javelin throwing, and includes a bearing surface which allows the user to store energy during the throw. So now they're not only getting smart in the way this weapon is created, but of how much energy they're using, and they don't want to use that much energy because they want to store that for other things. And a more modern way to compare this to is the common modern ball throwers, like the molded plastic arms used for throwing tennis balls for your dogs for fetch. That's like the same principle. And lastly is the bow and arrow, and in northern North America this was popped up about 4 different times, and the role of the bow and arrow is it started in the 18th century where the Russians first arrived in the Aleutian Islands, and these were used exclusively for warfare, and they wanted to hunt caribou there as well. So all in all, to sum it up, Weapons have changed and started to get more complex with the new materials being used and being provided. They had different stones, they had different animal bones that they were using, or how they created these weapons and the energy that went into using that weapon or creating that weapon. And using weapons to hunt and using weapons in warfare have really showed what people went through.